Hello and welcome to Elevation Drafting. My name's Glenn. I'll be taking you through the AutoCAD rotate command today. So we'll start with the line here. Rotate in AutoCAD is RO, just RO. So you can hit enter on your keyboard or spacebar. I prefer to use spacebar. It's just easier for my hands to use it. You can select a line in a few different ways. First of all, you can click directly on the line. You can see it highlights slightly. So clicking on the line will work. You can also select it in two other ways as well. You can use the green selection window, which is to the left of the screen. So you can go clicking a line, clicking a point somewhere out in space, and moving to the left, and it will give you the green selection window. If you move to the right of the point you've clicked, it will give you the blue one. The difference is the green selection window will select anything that it touches, so you can go like that and it will still select this line. The blue selection window, if I click over here, the blue selection window won't select anything that's not completely inside the window. So if I select it right now, like that, it won't select. You need to select the entire line inside the window for it to work. So there it is. So we'll go RO, rotate, and we are going from a few different options here. You can start with, you can rotate to a snap point on the line. So in this situation here, if you move towards the middle of the line, you'll see a little green triangle pop up, and that's the midpoint. You can see midpoint snap. So it will snap to the midpoint there. You don't have to be directly on the midpoint for it to work. It just has to be close to it, and the little icon has to pop up saying midpoint. So even like that, it will still work, and there it is, snaps to the midpoint. Same again with the endpoint. Select it, enter, and down the bottom we'll go endpoint. You can see I'm not directly on the endpoint of the line, but it's close enough, and so AutoCAD recognizes that you want to snap to the endpoint, and so endpoint there, and it rotates like that. Now this is called a freeform rotation right now. Freeform just means that you're rotating an object and just choosing the angle that you want. So I'm just moving with my mouse around right now, wherever I want to put it, over here, wherever, and there it is. So it's just a click to complete the action. From the middle as well, midpoint, same thing again. It's freeform rotation. You're just choosing the angle that you want it at, and click, and there it is. You can also snap to other objects, or you can rotate around other objects. So if I draw a circle here, you can rotate around the circle. So RO, rotate, enter, and clicking in the middle of the center of the circle brings up the little green center circle snap icon. So clicking there, and you can see I'm rotating the line around the center of the circle. There you go. The next option is rotate copy. There's a few different options with this one as well. Actually, I should mention as well that you can also just rotate by angle, which is a very important part of it. So if you want to rotate this line by the midpoint, and you have a certain angle that you want to rotate to, we'll say 55 degrees, you can just type in 55. You can see where the text is highlighted here. There's the blue highlighted text. You can just directly type in right now 55 degrees, and it will rotate like that. So that's the other option. The rotate copy command. We use rotate, and we click on the midpoint, or wherever you want, and you can see on here, beside where the text, the blue highlighted text is, there's a small drop-down arrow button. So on your keyboard, you can hit the down arrow on your keyboard, and you'll get a small menu here that pops up. So the first one is just a direct type in the bearing and hit enter, and it works. The second one is the copy command. So we're going to use this one here. Copy. So as soon as you've selected copy, you can then again do a freeform copy, freeform rotation, And wherever you want to put it, you can put it here if you want to. Click here, and it will copy the line to there. So it maintains the original line, but it adds another line there, copied it. Undo that, and we'll go again, rotate, drop down menu, down to copy, you can see the little black dot. So just down to copy there, hit enter, and this time we're going to use a rotation, a bearing, to rotate it to. So I'm going to copy that existing line at a bearing of 60 degrees. So 60, and there it is there. So you've got then two lines rotated around the midpoint at two different angles. The third option, third rotation option, is called rotate with reference. This is a pretty handy one if you've got a bunch of line work that you need to rotate all to one angle. In this situation here, we're going to rotate this line here. In fact, we might have to color this one just so you can see it. Color it purple. We're going to move this line so that it's on the same bearing as this line here, the one that runs up and down the page. So we select the line that you want to move, or that you want to rotate, hit RO, rotate, enter, click on the base point. So we're going to use this base point down here, end point, and you can see that it starts to rotate around. Now if you did this by hand, you wouldn't be able to get it exactly right. You can get it really close probably, like that's pretty close there. But if you zoom in, you'll see it's not quite the same. So what we do is, that was undo just then, we just rotate on the line, click the endpoint there, and what we're going to do is, again with the drop down arrow, drop down, and we're going to choose the third option here, reference. So what the reference option does is it gives you the option to choose your angle that you want to put the cursor on. So I'm going to choose the endpoint and the endpoint here, and then you can see my cursor is directly on the same bearing as this line here, and I'm moving the line around right now. So from here, all you need to do is move it up to here, get to the endpoint of here, and click, and there it is. You can see it should be directly on the line. Exactly spot on. There you go. The next one, we're going to rotate using snaps. Snaps are very handy for all sorts of things. In this situation here, what I want to do is get this line to be on the same bearing as this circle, the center of this circle here. So we're trying to get the end point of this line to line up with that middle point of the circle. So what we do here is we go rotate, click on this endpoint here. You can see it starts to rotate around. Again, if you did it by hand, you wouldn't be able to get it accurate. It'd be close, but not quite accurate. So what you want to do is, again, using the reference command, reference, enter, click on the end point or the start point in this situation, the end point here, and you can see the cursor will then follow the line, or the line will follow the cursor actually, and you can move it onto this circle, and there's the snap that pops up, the little green circle in the middle of the circle, and click there, and there it is there. That line is now lined up with the center of the circle. Just to prove that to you, I'll just use the lengthen command, and we'll lengthen this line so that it hits the center of the circle. Again, I'm just moving to the edge of the circle here because it will snap to it by itself. And there we go. There's the line there. So some handy little functions. The next command we've got here is rotate multiple. So you don't have to actually just rotate one thing at a time. You can rotate many things at a time. It doesn't have to be just one object. You can do many at once. So what we're going to do here is we're going to rotate, we're going to copy these two and place them side by side beside this one in this direction here, out this way, out this direction here. So to do this, because I'm thinking like this is like architectural landscaping, like architectural paving stones perhaps. So you might want to have a line of pavers that run down here and then they turn and they run this way across here. So to do that, you would grab the two pavers up here and rotate. And what you want to do is, excuse me, what you want to do is you want to go from the midpoint and the other midpoint. And there's a thing called object snap tracking. And that's what we're doing here. We are using the center point of, or the midpoint I should say, of this line up here and the other line here, and I'm just moving the mouse across. And what it does is AutoCAD will actually pick up that you're trying to draw a line across here, and it picks up the midpoint in the middle here. So I've placed a point just here in the midpoint of those two. You can practice this with the snap tracking. It's something you get used to over time. You can just do two of them. You can see the little green square has popped up, and it will pop up with the middle point there. So we've got a midpoint of that little point there now, and we're going to copy, rotate with copy. So we've chosen those two lines, those two paving stones there. We're going to rotate around this point here. You can do it in a negative bearing, so you can type in -90, and that would also work right now. That will rotate just the existing ones there, but we want to copy it, so there we go. So what we're going to do is rotate, click on that midpoint there, and we're going to go copy, and again typing in -90, because that will then give you a line of pavers that run this way as well. The last thing we're going to do here is we're going to look at some architectural line work. This is a site plan, and sometimes this is probably going to be handy for architects, because sometimes an architect will draw a site plan sort of up and down the page, like directly up and down so you can see it, like that. But then they get the line work from the surveyor, and they see that the actual title itself is actually on the angle like this. That's the actual title of this property here. That's the angle of it. So what we want to do is you want to put all this line work on the same angle as the surveyor's boundaries are on for a site plan. So there's a few different ways to do this. The way that I've found is best and quickest is to select one of these lines, copy it, click the endpoint down here, and move it to the same point as on the architectural plans. So there it is there. So that's this line here, this boundary is your current position, and that's where you want to rotate it to, that one there, because that's the same as that line there we just copied. So to do this, you select all the line work, all the text and everything, and you can leave this line selected as well, or you can unselect it holding down the shift key and clicking on the line, and it will unselect it. So now all the line work selected except for that one line there. So you rotate all this stuff to match that line, which will match the site plan line work. So in this situation, again, we're going to go rotate, clicking on the endpoint down here, and you can see everything starts to move. Nothing's happened just yet, but I'm just moving it with the mouse. It gives you a preview of what's happening, where it's going to move to. I'll just leave it there for a second, and I'll take my hand off the mouse and use the drop down arrows again. The down arrow on the keyboard. Choose a reference. So rotate with reference, and we're going to rotate again from here and up to this point up here, which is the end of that title boundary. I'm going to rotate things around so that it is in a line. You can see the endpoints popped up just up here. Endpoint, click there, and everything is moved around to match. From there, all you need to do, grab all the line work, choose move, enter, click the endpoint there, and click the endpoint of this one. And that's it. Now there'll be a few lines here because you've made 3 lines here, so you can actually erase 2 of those, and there's your line work in the site plan in the right spot, on the right angle as well. There you go. I hope this has been handy. Hope you've learnt a bit of stuff about the rotate command in AutoCAD. Please like and subscribe for more AutoCAD tips. I will give you many more in the next few weeks and months ahead. So please stay tuned to learn everything about AutoCAD commands and everything I can think of to teach you. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.